Hi, it's the M.L.M for the Soul channel, and I do have a new topic for today. Before I begin, I just would like to say, may the words and expressions of my mouth and the thoughts and meditations of my heart find favor and acceptance before you, Hashem. So people I thank who have inspired me, I hope they can inspire you as well, and I will have links below this video to their sites. They are Rabbi Shalom Arush, Rabbi Lazer Brody, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, Rabbi Eli Mansour, Rabbi Alona Nava, Rabbi Yuval Ovadia, Rav Daniel Asor, Nisan Baruch Black, David Sachs, Rabbi Michael Skobach, Jews for Judaism, Rabbi David Asher, and Yaron Reuven. And as well, if you've never checked out this site before, do check out my first video, which I will also link below this video. And it'll explain what M.L.M stands for, what it's all about, and what I am doing. So today I decided to start a new series of a very important topic that I think people really need to know more in detail why it's such a crucial thing and why we're dealing with so many issues now in this world. It's Shmiras HaLashon, guarding your tongue, what you say. And Chofetz Chaim was the purveyor, or the guru, I guess you could say, the father of Shmiras HaLashon. That was his big thing. So I received some really nice booklets from a friend of mine. I want to thank Rivka Sarah. And so this is one. It's called Machshom Lefi. I don't know what the word Machshom Lefi is for your mouth. And it's from the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation. And what I will do is I'll have links also below here to the Chofetz Chaim Foundation. Like, they also have a phone number you can call. And you can also, for Shmiras HaLashon, and you can ask questions, different things like that. So I will have some links below what you could check out, any websites. So the first thing here is they have a prayer for proper speech, and this is beautiful, and you could probably get this online, but it goes like this. Master of the world, may it be your will, compassionate, and gracious God, that you grant me the merit today and every day to guard my mouth and tongue from speaking Lashon Hara and Mechilas. May I be zealous not to speak ill of an individual, and certainly not of the entire Jewish people or a portion of it, and even more so, may I be zealous not to complain about the ways of the Holy One, blessed is He. May I be zealous not to speak words of falsehood, flattery, strife, anger, arrogance, hurt, embarrassment, mockery, and all other forbidden forms of speech. Grant me the merit to speak only that which is necessary for my physical and spiritual well-being. And may all my deeds and words be for the sake of heaven. And that's the crucial part, is that everything that we say and we do for our physical and spiritual well-being should be for that, not for any other silly notion or ideas or desires or anything, because that really doesn't matter. So I think that's beautiful. So what I want to do is read through. This is actually a booklet that was put out for learning during the 9 days, but really it can be learned at any time. And this is taken, I believe, from his Sefer Chofetz Chaim. I think they're taken from other, I don't know if they're from Sefer Chofetz Chaim. So I'm going to read through some of these, and there's 9, I believe there's 9 days, but I don't think I'm going to do all 9 days at once. And then after this booklet, I have another amazing booklet that I was given also from Rivka Sarah on Lashon Hara that's just unbelievable. It'll definitely change your thoughts about why it's so important to basically keep your mouth closed most of the time. And I also heard this, and I don't know who wrote it, but about what you speak about, what you shouldn't. The lowest level is speaking about people. You want to just talk about people. The second one is talking about things, meaning about like the weather, the sport, like things that aren't like that really important. And the highest level is ideas, talking about Torah, Hashem, mitzvahs, things like that. So that's where your lashon, what you speak, that's what really matters. That's the highest level. So the first one is called, for day one, is called a historical perspective. So the Chofetz Chaim opens his Pesicha, his introduction, with a brief historical perspective of the sin of Lashon Hara. Lashon Hara has the distinction of being the first sin ever committed. How do we know this? We know that the serpent enticed Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge. To accomplish his aim, the serpent utilized a classic Lashon Hara approach that is used even today. You should know that the boss is jealous of you. This is what, as if he was saying this. He's stunting your growth in the company. You really are as good as he is. So this is what someone would say to you now. In this case, the boss, the quote boss, was Hashem. The serpent told Eve that all Hashem had to do to become the creator was to eat from the tree of knowledge, Eitz Hadas. He drew the logical conclusion that if Adam and Chava were to eat from the same tree, they would become just like Hashem. Obviously, reasoned the serpent, Hashem did not want, quote, competition. And that is why he forbade Adam and Eve from partaking of the tree's fruits. The particular method which the serpent used so successfully was a combination of Lashon Hara and Rechila, so Rechilus is gossip. He claimed that Hashem was not concerned with their best interests, and that Hashem was merely using a ploy to keep them from competing with him. We know all too well the result of the serpent's evil words. Unfortunately, we're still paying for it today. Adam and Chava were banished from the Garden of Eden. Difficult toil to produce food became the lot of men, while childbirth pain became the lot of women. Death was introduced to the world, because death was never supposed to happen if they had finished that last day, which was leading into Shabbos. On man's first day on earth, Lashon Hara had already demonstrated destructive power. So there you go. It started from day one. Or I should say, from the first day of man, which is not day one of the world. The Chofetz Chaim puts it succinctly. One who speaks Lashon Hara attaches himself to a practice that destroys the world. The very first exile of the Jewish people was directly related to Lashon Hara. The Chofetz Chaim states the main reason for the Jews' suffering in Egypt was Lashon Hara. Yosef spoke Lashon Hara about his brothers. Therefore, heaven decreed that he would be sold into slavery. So, Midah Keneged Midas. That's what happened. Further in the Torah, we encounter an event of catastrophic proportion, and we suffer from its consequences to this very day. As the Chofetz Chaim puts it, the underlying cause of our present exile was the sin of the spies, the Meraglim. The Talmud describes their sin as one of Lashon Hara. Such is the damage which Lashon Hara has wrought in our people's history. The first sin ever committed, the underlying cause of our mortality, the catalyst which caused the Jewish people to be exiled in Egypt, and the cause of our exile today. With this powerful piece, the Chofetz Chaim conclusively dispels the myth that Lashon Hara is relatively harmless. So there you go. It started from day one, and it kept going. So we want to avoid that. So day 2, it talks about points to ponder. This is from the Laws of Lashon Hara, 1:7 through 9. Consider the following situation. You're sitting at a wedding, and some people at your table begin denigrating someone. One person turns to you and says, "Didn't you go to school with him? Is he always this way?" Now you're faced with a test. This is very good. Will you attempt to change the topic, or do you succumb and add your piece of Lashon Hara to the conversation? What do? A difficult test, perhaps, but it will surely be made easier if you give thought to the following advice from the Chofetz Chaim. Take stock of what you're about to do. If you remain strong and refuse to speak Lashon Hara, there may be people who will consider you self-righteous, something that anyone would want to avoid. On the other hand, if you falter and speak Lashon Hara, you will have much more to deal with, for you will face embarrassment in the world of truth before the King of all kings, Hashem, right? So who's more important? The Chofetz Chaim quotes the teachings of our sages. Better to be considered a fool your entire life than to have Hashem think of you as a rasha, as a wicked person for even a moment. So it's better you become a fool and not say anything, because in the end you're going to have to deal with it up there. So what matters down here is not as important. What matters is what's going to happen up there. The Chofetz Chaim adds that it is precisely regarding such situation where one feels pressure to speak Lashon Hara and does not succumb that our sages say, Al kol rega v'rega shadam chosein piv zochel la'or haganuz she'ein kol malach uverya yachol l'sha'er. 4. Every moment that a person closes his mouth and refrains from speaking Lashon Hara, he merits a hidden light that no angel or earthly creature can fathom. And again, it's going to be amazing. Not here, of course. In this segment, the Chofetz Chaim teaches us about nonverbal Lashon Hara, the type we refer to as body language. The type, as we all know, a wink of an eye or a twitch of the nose can sometimes communicate major statements about someone's personality or behavior. Such communication carries the full halachic weight of the prohibitions regarding Lashon Hara. Written Lashon Hara is also included in these prohibitions, so it's just as bad. In concluding this opening chapter, which discusses common misconceptions about Lashon Hara, the Chofetz Chaim notes, even if you include yourself when denigrating someone, you have still spoken Lashon Hara. So if you say it about yourself, you don't get away with it. It's still considered Lashon Hara. It is important to note that this type of Lashon Hara is forbidden even if the reputation of the speaker is also damaged. Including oneself in a derogatory remark does not make it permissible. So there you go. So I'm going to do one more day. So we'll do, since there's 9, I'm going to do 3 each time. And then, like I said, I have another booklet, so this will continue. So day 3 is called The Value of Time. This is from the introduction, Positive Commandments 11 and 12. One of the greatest recent innovations in the computer industry is multitasking, meaning that computers now have the ability to run several software programs simultaneously. The Chofetz Chaim tells us that a person also has to run 2, quote, programs through his mind at the same time. One thought process is used to accomplish whatever task we are presently engaged in. The second process is a constant scanning of the first process to ensure that it is in line with the commandment of Et Hashem Elokecha Tira from Devarim 6:13, to be aware of and fear Hashem at all times. When we are confronted with a choice of acting or not acting, of speaking or not speaking, we should always ask ourselves, what does Hashem want me to do? So that's the first and most important thing to always think of. What does Hashem want me to do? Not what people want me to do, right? A person who speaks Lashon Hara has clearly lost his focus, at least for a few moments, on what Hashem wants of him. He's acting as if Hashem is not present. Heaven forbid. Therefore, he violates the commandment to imbue oneself with fear of Hashem. The Chofetz Chaim teaches us that when a person speaks Lashon Hara, he is wasting one of the most precious commodities the world has to offer. What are we talking about? Time. Because when you're saying Lashon Hara, you don't realize all that time you're wasting saying what you shouldn't be saying. That's time. It's valuable. There is no limit to the reward for learning Torah. It is by far the most precious mitzvah a person can do. The only excuse a person has for not studying Torah the entire day is that he has other important matters, such as earning a living to which he must attend. Speaking Lashon Hara is certainly not something which one should be doing, and so the time spent speaking Lashon Hara is unjustifiably being lost. A sin of Bitul Torah, which means wasting time that should be dedicated to learning. Furthermore, our sages of blessed memory state, just as the mitzvah of Torah study is equal to all the mitzvahs of the Torah combined, so too the sin of Lashon Hara equals all the sins of the Torah combined. This is from Yerushalmi Peah 1:1, and I've heard that it's greater than the three sins you're not supposed to do: Gila Roy, Shvichas Dam, and Avodah Zarah. Idol worship, murder, and immoral acts. So imagine that it's even higher than that. So the consequences of this fact are enormous, says the Chofetz Chaim. As an example, let us consider the 20-minute wait in shuls, synagogues, between Mincha and Ma'ariv. Each word of Torah learning is a mitzvah for itself. A person can comfortably speak 150 words a minute. Multiply this by 20 minutes between Mincha and Ma'ariv, and we have 3,000 spoken words. This means that 3,000 mitzvahs can be accomplished in 20 minutes of learning. That is a lot, right? Unfortunately, the opposite is true with Lashon Hara. Not only can a person acquire 3,000 sins for speaking 20 minutes of Lashon Hara, he also would acquire 3,000 sins of Bitul Torah. Imagine that. Most tragic of all, he loses the priceless reward of 3,000 precious mitzvahs of Torah study, which could have been his. So isn't that amazing? So I hope this is something we'll start realizing, and people will start taking this very strongly to heart, what we need to do and what we need not to do. And I hope in the merit of us all coming together and doing what's right for Hashem and studying Torah and avoiding Lashon Hara, that we will merit to live and see the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days and the rebuilding of our final everlasting Beis HaMikdash. Amen. And thank you for watching.